Hello and welcome to Explorers of Elsewhere's Elysia Rising Faction Actions. Hello, hi, I am DM Dan, and my oh my, what has happened to my beautiful faction map? Quite a lot of stuff has happened in the campaign. We have obviously just we've recently wrapped the second act finale. The crew have completed their first downtime in the immediate aftermath, and there were a lot of revelations and twists and turns that they're having to kind of pick their way through. But something else that has been completely turned upside down and shaken is the faction status of the majority of the factions within the city. As you can see, there is a new icon that has appeared on my on the screen here. There are a number of factions that, for all intents and purposes, are no longer part of the game. But there are some that are still in the running, so we need to have a little look at those. So, since we last spoke, the crew have done a somewhat small job busting into the Bell Tower prison complex and breaking free a load of Sanguivar. The majority of the factions that would have been grumpy with them for doing that mostly didn't make it out of that mission intact. So very specifically, I'm looking here at the Children of Aya and, to a certain extent, the Shield of Elysia. As we all know, the climactic kind of ending of High Priestess Lukraji kind of spelt the end for the Children of Aya in a very nibbly kind of way. So realistically, there aren't that many factions from the actual job itself that are displeased with the crew. That said, there are still some, and unfortunately for the crew, they kind of both fall under the same category. So at the tail end of it, they were blocked by none other than Songbird, who had come out of hiding to confront them. She was not best pleased with their actions, and she also had a member of the Uneshi with her. Now, what we're going to say is that for both of them, that's actually, we're going to drop the marionettes down to -1 and the Uneshi down to 0. Yes, they're very, very displeased with them. That said, I'm going to be generous in this moment. I'm only actually going to drop the underworld clock down by 1, which I think is right about here, because I'm going to I've graded them out already, but I'm going to bump the cobbles up to +3, because as far as Musto's concerned, they did save him, and whilst he needed a bit of coercing in episode 16, he and Algernon have traded hands of the cobbles in good faith. ? So theoretically, the cobbles are up to +3. That said, the cobbles are now fundamentally out of the faction game, given that the cobbles now belong to Algernon and the rest of the crew. But yes, the marionettes down to -1, the Uneshi down to 0. Looking along, I mean, we're going to leave the Lodge Reticent kind of where they are, because they were more than happy with what the crew did, but yeah, we will see what Nephene's got up her sleeve. The Kindling. Now, interestingly, the Kindling were able to, off the back of Algernon's flashback during the Act 2 finale, they were able to accomplish one of their goals that they have been striving for a long time. So we're going to bump the Kindling up by +1, which in turn bumps the Forsworn clock up to 0. They're back to neutral, like so. Yes, the Hollow, unfortunately, also pretty much out of the running in the aftermath of the of episode 15. The orchestra was wholly not involved. The City Watch, those in the prison complex, were mostly tied up with the Children of Ire and the Shield of Elysia. The Blackguard weren't present. The EIC weren't present. They arrested Algernon and Magpie, but as we all know, that was all part of the plan. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the faction clocks, for the players themselves. So yeah, Underworld and Forsworn back to neutral. The Guard still very unhappy. The Pillars and the Faith are long gone. And yeah. So moving on to the actions themselves. So, as I said earlier, there are 5 to be precise, skulls. Very morbid looking skulls on this faction clock, and I can confirm in this moment that in the epilogue, the untimely demise of Odomer Saran and the systematic attacks on the Chainbearers in the immediate aftermath mean that the Chainbearers are no longer a functioning faction. The same can also be said for the Children of Ire, although the players had a decidedly more deliberate hand in that, condemning well, I suppose Magpie tried to save her, but High Priestess Lukragi condemned herself to a very grisly fate alongside her fellow clerics. The Shield of Elysia, as we now know, have disbanded to join the City Watch, and the Garden Keepers have gone to ground. So for all intents and purposes, the faith in its entirety has been scattered to the winds. We also know that the Hollow, thanks to Lukragi's efforts, were burnt to a crisp. So with Umi missing and the subsequent attack on their hideout by the Resurgent City Watch in episode 16, the Hollow are also out for the count. So that doesn't actually leave us a whole lot of faction actions to particularly look at. I will say that as we steam into the campaign finale, this was most likely going to be the last faction action, so really it's just a case of sort of like tidying up and see if anyone happens to get over the line. Now we can 100% say with certainty as we start in the guard clocks, the City Watch, a new leader has emerged. That is Watch Commander Leech. And he's already starting to flex his authority, but they're not starting a new clock, they're just kind of rampaging around the city of Elysia. The Blackguard, however, they are still looking for the Heart Speaker, and with only one segment left, I'm more than happy to just go ahead and complete that clock, because they will have successfully completed that task by the next time we see them. The EIC, so let's have a look at them. So the EIC are still tier 3. On the off chance that they roll a critical, they might uncover knowledge on enemy forces. Let's have a look at that. A 5, so that's only 2 segments. So as we finish this faction actions, they still have 2 segments to go. The Marionettes have successfully located the source of the Veil. They did that last time, but yes, a lot of Songbird's plans are on hold given her recent time in hiding. She won't be starting anything new. The Cobbles are investigating Musto's disappearance, although I'm sure we can actually kind of put that to bed somewhat because, well, they've got new management. And I suspect that news of Musto's safe return to the living might not have gone missed. I mean, we'll still roll it. Let's roll it. Let's see how they do. If they do better than normal without Musto in charge, they do indeed. So they're going to shoot up to 4 of 6 segments as well. Although then realistic, I suspect that's how they found out. So they did really well. Realised he wasn't kaput. And stop looking. There we go. So Lastly, the Elysia. So obviously feeling a bit wary around the players recently. They are a tier 3 faction. They're still trying to infiltrate rival factions, and they're rolling up a 5. So 2 segments there. That will take the Elysia up to 4 of 6 segments as well. The Chainbearers are no more, so no need to roll for them. Let's see if the Tellers complete their kind of restructuring in Old Town. So the Tellers are a tier 2. Let's see how they do. They're going to need a 6 to sort this out. Not quite. So the hold on Old Town is nearly complete, but not quite. But yeah, the cobbles are fundamentally in retreat and most likely been reallocated to things that Algernon finds much more important than taking over Old Town. And the Lodge reticent, usurping power and control. Well, we've seen Nephene do that, haven't we? In quite a dramatic manner. She has a plan, but unfortunately that is not a plan for the faction actions. We'll see how that plays out in game. The Children of Iron, Shield of Elysia, Garden Keepers, as I say, they are all gone, so nothing to roll there. The Kindling, the leaders of the Underworld, the Forsworn, they have 1 segment left of their 8 clock to, much like the Marionettes, also find the source of the Veil. Given that it is only 1 segment, we know that they are going to be able to complete that. So both Songbird and Velka will now know what the secrets of the Veil, and let's see what they decide to do with that information. The Hollow, unfortunately, no longer with us, and the Orchestra, well, I mean, everyone's busy trying to stop the city from tearing itself apart, but that does not stop the Orchestra from trying to add to the somewhat high turnover Cacophony. 2 dice gives us okay, maybe people are being very, very careful on the streets of Elysia at night. Well, night. Only a 2, so that's only 1 segment for the Orchestra, taking us up to 3. And that is basically it. So, yes, we find ourselves in a city that is both somewhat smaller in scope as the factions whittle themselves down, but also more chaotic and kind of disparate than it was when we very first started. The crew find themselves right in the smack bang middle of it all, and as we can see, there are definitely things in motion that will see us through to the finale. So yeah, I'm really excited to see how that turns out and if there are any final twists and turns in this story before we reach the end. Yeah, that's pretty much it. If you enjoyed this somewhat shorter faction actions, make sure to hit the like button and comment down below on what shall we comment on. I'll tell you what, comment down below on if of the factions that disappeared, if they were the factions that you thought were going to disappear first. If not, which faction did you think was going to get knocked out of the running before any of the others? And to see if any other factions do in fact get knocked out, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon for notifications when we release new videos, because we've got loads of videos coming out all the time. As I say, the finale of campaign 2 is steaming towards us at high speeds, and I wouldn't want you to miss it. So thank you very much. See you next time. Take care.